dangerous. Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're back with game week 3. We're finally at week 3. It's FPX versus. Alright, hold on. We're playing FPX versus World Elite, and the fact of the matter is that we are in this recording they were kind of late, so we missed picks and bans. So let's just real quick before we get into the game, because we know how explosive LPL games tend to be, let's just look at the picks and the bans here. So FPX, what do we have here? Okay, so FPX go for the Ezreal Karma and the set ban. Okay, not too surprising, I suppose. Ezreal Karma and set. Okay, I mean the Ezreal is the World Elite's AD Carry's most played champion. I actually don't know his name right now, but as soon as we get into the game, I'll be on learning that. It's a bit bad practice. I'll have to improve that. FPS go for the Lee Sin, Tam Kench, boom, boom, boom. Okay, so this is lane Lee Sin, jungle Diana, and top lane Renekton. Okay, top lane focus, and then we have Viego top. All right, so now we got it. Alright, so welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Game 1 between FPX and World Elite. We are finally officially underway in Week 3. Let us see how this unfolds before our very eyes. As we see from the picks and the bans, we have a Lee Sin, what I seem to be mid, with a Renekton top and Diana jungle. Strong focus in the top side for FPX. They do, of course, have a safe bot lane with the Senna Tam Kench, which pretty much neutralize everything. And against that, World Elite go for the Jinx Thresh, which scales alongside Senna and Tam Kench, even though they don't scale for perhaps as long. Not to mention, Jinx in the early levels with her rocket farm will be able to outrange Senna. That is, I think, equal. I think their range is equal at around 20 stacks, and then Senna might outrange her slightly at 40 stacks. And beyond there, Senna pretty much outranges everything in the game. And then let's see. I think it's a Viego top versus a Renekton. An interesting matchup. Renekton does have the ability to completely destroy Viego, although this is not as easy a 1v1 as you would imagine. Now we see a early game invade for some vision towards the bot side of FPX's jungle. That is, of course, because they expect Tien to start towards the bot side and finish top side. FPX very hard focus towards the top side right now. Mole in the mid lane is on his LeBlanc, not really one of his most played champions to date. He's mainly like a Zoe set and TF player, while Shanks tends to be more of the Silas player. World Elite do have two mid laners, by the way, for those of you who are unaware. So the ward is swept out, looks like Nuguri losing in an early trade between him and Breathe. It looks like he opted for his Q first instead of his W. I think that's kind of an interesting choice there. Generally, you tend to see the W come in as Beishang is 16 assists away from his 1.5k career landmark. I think the other day, who was it? I think it was the RNG game. Gala was 1,000 assists away. Imagine when your AD carry is 1,000 assists away. I think Gala is not particularly, hasn't been in the LPL for that particularly long either. Beishang feels like a very home established kind of name. Anyways, we'll get to that in a moment, I suppose, as the clear is coming underway for both junglers. It looks like Beishang mirroring Tian's clear up towards the top side, trying to provide whatever assistance and coverage he can for his top laner. World Elite so far have got priority in almost every single lane. And right now, Nuguri's Renekton pick seems to be suffering under the oppressive, continuous, literal stab and poke of Breathe, with using his Blade of the Ruined King ability. Now Beishang with his priority in mid and top, opting to look for an invade. Tian realizing fully well that he is not as strong as Beishang is right now. Looks like Nuguri is going to have to fend for himself for a little bit, as Beishang still looking, ensuring that his own top laner is safe from any attempted form of aggression. Breathe could look to try and fast push this wave and attempt a dive. Doingby does have teleport, however. Tian will not be in the area, so this will be a 3v2 dive. I'm pretty sure he's signaling it now. Looking at the pings, looks like Doingby has been freed up from his lane, is roaming down to clear up vision, but will have his teleport available. Nuguri needs to hold out, will not have dominance for an extra burst of HP. Will we see a teleport? It needs to come in immediately as Beishang is tanking tower. The stun comes out and looks like he's gonna tank one more tower and trade kills. Honestly, not so bad, as Nuguri only really losing 4 CS, does have teleport available as well. Breathe, with this little bit of proxying, won't really deny too much, as in comes Nuguri yet again. Only really lost 4 CS. for a kill, I think that's not so bad. He won't get the experience from the kill if I'm not mistaken, because of course of the fact that he was dead by then. So I think you need to be physically alive and present in order to get the assist, get the experience for that goal. Now FPX do have a pretty big wave stacked up bot, but it looks like with their Senna Tam Kench continuous scaling and the lack of damage that they have right now, honestly in this duo, Tam Kench is really the one dealing most of the damage in the early game. So if you run at Senna and ignore the Tam Kench, he will actually kill you. Now it's going to be interesting to see what happens in pro play come the next patch, because I believe this is 11.13. In 11.14, I do believe that Tam Kench gets changed and now it becomes like a mini Rakan, with only provides the eat safety at level 6. I'm pretty sure that will mark the end of the Senna Tam Kench combo as Tian makes his way towards the mid lane. It's a pretty big wave, however, and Doinby, I'm pretty sure, is just looking to catch it. Tian just trying to put a little bit of aggression down onto Mo, who uses the last bit of his mana up. Pretty sure he's going to get a little recall off now. Looking across the board, looks like gold lead is slightly in favor of FPX in spite of the kill trading, and even though Beishang did get an assist, which is another 150 gold. Let's see where all the gold is situated. Breathe is still ahead in terms of gold. It appears that bot lane is where all the big difference is being made, as LWX able to get a ton of stacks. A little bit of invade coming out as Chris just a cheeky devour and spit towards the blue buff for a smite coming out. LWX even picking himself up a nice little dandy soul there, as Nuguri at level 5 seems to have won the lane control back from Breathe. Breathe, without his summoner spells, can't really step up to aggressively make an attempt onto Nuguri. Both champions being manaless, and now with Nuguri having his stun available, means that Breathe needs to be careful, because the Crocodile is not completely toothless just yet. As soon as he stacks up his passive, in fact, Breathe is... Oh, as Dominus comes in, as well as the Cull the Meek, followed by the Slice and the Dice. And Breathe gets away with his life, just sliding away with the Spectral Maw. Beishang is around topside, as is Tian. Mid laners both have no TP, so it's going to have to be a roam up from either player. We see the bot side missing, just getting a little bit of vision of where possible in the river, trying his best to spot out Tian. It is possible that WE have lost sight of the character. Now let's see what's on the line for these players. Both teams at 3 wins apiece. World Elite now are trying to usurp FPX's position as number... They already have usurped this position, trying to maintain their position as number 4 as a gank is coming in. It looks like Mole does have priority in the mid lane, will be able to roam up faster, but it's being spotted on the ward. He signals his team to back off. Dragon is up on the board, and Rift Herald will be as well in a minute and a half, as Mole jumping in now on to Doinby, who forces him to disengage with a nice Dragon's Rage through his entire minion wave. So let's see what's the price to pay here. What's on the board for both these teams. So World Elite similarly to Spring, off to a absolutely killer of a start, as LWX just sidesteps the Thresh hook. Looks like there will be no death sentence, no epic lore battle between the two characters this time, as the top side Mole, again with the priority, has actually gotten his chain onto Nuguri, who just slides across the wall. And we'll be losing a bunch of CS for this though. But luckily for him, it is a cannon minion wave. Probably won't lose anything, as Doinby now marking his entrance into the game with a roam down towards the bot side. Tian is at level 5, 48 CS, means he just needs one more camp or maybe like 2 CS in order to secure himself his level 6, and he will hit it now while bot lane is scurrying under their tier 2 tower, getting zoned completely away from a cannon wave as they're stepping up now. But Tian is in the area. There's literally no one here. If Tian goes for a dive, the bot lane of World Elite are absolutely gambling this, as Nuguri pops Dominus early. There is no teleport available for Doinby, as Mole roams up as well. In the bot side, FPX making an attempt at the dive, and in comes the 3-man, and in the bot side, the same thing's going on. Cross plays are being made. Tian, just use your ultimate, man. They're both there, as both Jinx and Thresh get absolutely ganked and exploded. This is the last minion. They go in for the gank. Who's tanking the tower? It looks to be Tian will have the Devour available, and that is one thing that will not be possible come next patch, as Beishang secures himself the Rift Herald as well. It looks like Doinby, nothing doing up in the top side, just securing himself some tower plating in the mid lane. Nice little bit of action, beautiful cross plays made by both teams. As CS-wise, Tian is slightly ahead. Beishang forced to go for Phage first. Pretty sure that means he was down on cash during his back. Normally, you like to see the Iron Spike whip come in first, or perhaps he thought he just wanted the additional bit of HP and mobility that Phage just provides. Actually, no, that's not what Phage provides anymore. Mobility and cooldown reduction, I do believe. Sorry, ability haste. And let's see what the dive was over here. Looks like Chris starting it up very early, and Tian very patient with his ultimate, uses it eventually, absolutely blows up L. Actually misses his second part of his ultimate, I do believe. I think Chris just whipped him, and then the second good coordinated dive coming in here as the Devour comes in just before the tower shot does connect. So a 1-for-1 across the board. Kills are still in favor of FPX, as is the gold lead. About 1,000 gold. That's probably all the gold that LWX has over his counterpart, which is missing. Otherwise, gold seems to be pretty even across the board. I stand corrected actually, as Breathe is also nearly 1,000 gold over Nuguri. Not really the way I expected the game to go, as FPX kind of rolling with the punches, is kind of being denied their ability to play through their what would you expect to be a strong top side, because of course the fact that Beishang is a stronger jungler in the early game. Tian will have a lot more teamfight presence. Interesting thing is that if you're talking about yin and yang, I feel like Diana and Xin kind of fit the yin and yang kind of narrative in a way, because one has got a defensive ultimate, that's Xin that's Beishang, who knocks people away and means you can't be touched from the outside, and the other one is a offensive ultimate that you need as many people around you as possible. You suck them in, and then you explode them with quite literally gravity. If we're going to be completely honest, if like the spell was anything like it would be in real life, as Dweeby making his roam down towards the bot side. Both mid laners, with their turns they get in terms of tempo in the bot lane, are just using it to impact side lanes. This game is completely not about who wins 1v1 mid lane. It's more about who manages to get each other's perspective side lanes ahead. And right now, I must say the FPX are in a very comfortable position. WE do have a win condition, however. They do have the late game scaling Jinx, who's going to be very far behind right now. But they also have the team fight resetting Breathe, who can, I suppose, pick up what looks to be a potentially very decently strong Doingby and a kind of underfed Renekton. So, it's the interesting thing, because by getting the Viego ahead, you make it possible for him to assist in like the 1v9 situations, as Beishang and Mole now looking to surround Nuguri. Okay, never mind. So by getting Viego ahead, he gets stronger. It's more potential for him. Interesting that Nuguri is pushing so far. I mean, he does have Tian nearby, and Doingby does have teleport, I suppose. Back to what I was saying, I'm sorry. So, if you get Viego ahead, he might last longer, he might do more damage, he might burst people more. But if you get him ahead, and he steals the enemy top laner, doesn't he just get set behind? Isn't this like an interesting catch-22 kind of situation for Viego laners? It's like, if you stomp your lane completely, that's great and all, but in a team fight, if you steal your laner, then you just effectively become weaker. And if you try and get on to the enemy AD carry in this situation, you got a lot to work through. You literally have Crisp. Actually, this Thumb Kench pick is so good against the Viego if you think about it, because someone's getting low. It's like Viego's basically a reset champion, right? So if someone's getting low, you just eat him, and you just don't spin him out as long as you can, and try and get your team to wail on Viego as much as possible. So that does seem to be an interesting little interaction we have going on here, as FPX make a quick little lane reassignment, sending their bot laners up towards the top side to secure themselves some plating. Rift Herald is not going to be up for at least another 3 minutes, I do believe, as more regular, what do you call that? More standard World Elite have sent their bot lane up to the mid lane. And now looks like we're going to have a 1-3-1 across the board that's mirrored by either team. Gold lead is still 1,000 in favor of FPX. Again, that's mostly, I think, coming from the collective benefits. Actually, it's literally coming only from bot lane, I do believe. Yeah. Literally coming from bot lane. Crisp is 1,000 gold ahead, and LWX is much, much more ahead than that. But really, the only thing that's bringing World Elite back into this game in terms of gold is the Viego. So, Despite of that, World Elite still trying to make a play onto the strong side, one would argue, of FPX, as LWX did opt for the Kraken Slayer this game instead of the Divine Sunderer Grasp of the Undying build, and FPX playing accordingly, seeing the Vega towards the bot side, and now sending their members all towards the top side. It's only 13 minutes into the game, and already rotations are coming out as both teams attempt to besiege each other's towers, get as much gold as possible onto their laners. In the mid lane, FPX's bot lane is being ganked, but it looks like a nice double side stack coming out from their bot lane just means that Mole has to flee, tuck tail, and run as the jungler and mid laner for FPX and the top end jungler for World Elite continue to besiege each other's towers. It is quite an even trade right now. There is really all the playthings of either tower are gone. It's just a matter of seconds more now as Nuguri stepping forward now. Actually, he's going to be able to defend his tower for a little longer. An instance more, I suppose. Looking at the vision, by the way, FPX have complete control of vision towards the river in the river, sorry, towards mid lane, which means that if a attempted gank came for their strong side AD carry and support duo, they would know about it way in advance. There's literally nothing on World Elite side that can actually close that kind of distance unless they're not watching the map and the Viego puddle somehow allows him to sneak through. Even so, every bush pretty much in the river is watered towards both the top and bottom side of river coming from mid lane. Rift Herald has spawned, however, and in this situation, really, there's a lot of pressure on to Breathe because he's not going to get too much support from any member of his team as he and Beishang are the only two members who have their mythic items completed. Mole in the mid lane's not really had such a great time. FPX starting up Rift Herald looks to be a no contest in this situation as Doinby opting for the Stride Breaker in the next competitive patch that also will not have a dash, which I mean really makes not too big of difference if you are Lee Sin because the Sonic Wave gets you right on top of your opponent. That being said, Gore Drinker is still, I think, the go-to for most Lee Sin players as FPX's mid bot laner is now starting to do quite a bit of damage. LWX, I've always had a problem saying his name in the context of FPX because FPX LWX, honestly, can you get any harder than that? Now, Breathe has roamed up. He's putting down the Hallowed Path, Cursed Mist, somewhere along those lines. Nuguri has gotten a little bit of a reprieve from the constant harass as the last outer tower of World Elite falls. In their attempt to secure 4th place, World Elite now actually giving ground 3,000 gold behind as FPX start up the second dragon of the game. Looks like World Elite are opting to give this up as well. And as good and dandy as giving up all these objectives are, the real question is, does World Elite outscale FPX? Otherwise, giving up these objectives is pretty much dooming yourself. As Doinby nearly hitting a completely blind Sonic Wave. Let's see. So do you win late game? Let's see. Senna, I would argue, outscales Jinx, but Jinx does more AoE teamfight damage. Senna does provide great utility with her ultimate as well as the constant healing, and her range, of course, as we previously discussed, is absolutely disgusting. Top wave is pushing towards FPX, one less lane of pressure, but FPX are playing through both mid and bot. Looks like with their bot laners backing out, this seems to be the end of this round of tempo. As we hit the end turn button, LWX is still harassing Elk through his entire minion wave. Anyways, so bot side, I'd say even scaling. Doinby, I wouldn't say he outscales Mole per se, but Mole's gonna have a hard time one-shotting LWX with Chris just constantly standing next to him. That's the beauty of the Tahm Kench Senna combo. So already, the benefits of the Tahm Kench Senna combo permeates into every single lane. So you have an assassin in the mid lane, denied by Tahm Kench. You have a teamfight reset to the top lane, denied by Tahm Kench. And you have a Senna in your bot lane, protected by Tahm Kench until forever, perpetually. I was gonna say until the end of laning phase, but perpetually. It just helps you through the laning phase. Honestly, this Tahm Kench pick, phenomenal. Absolutely beautiful. Perfect. It might be a game-winning pick right there. Now, of course, no games nowadays are decided so much in picks and bans, especially in a league as big, as prominent as I was gonna say quintessential, but like as premium quality as the LPL. But we can always appreciate a premium quality pick when it is selected as topside vision. LWX being jumped on, but there we go, yet again, the Devour keeping LWX safe, allowing him to step up a little bit more aggressively. If you don't CC Crisp, who doesn't have cleanse actually, so if he does get hooked by Death Sentence, there's that small opening where Missing can stun him with the hook, and then in goes Breathe, nearly hitting out Tien as she jumps into a 1v2 situation. Elk over the wall with the Cork. Actually, Breathe jump in to try and kill him, but here comes the deny yet again. But looks like Tien is going to be destroyed. Unfortunately, Breathe is not anywhere close as Doinby and Nuguri are keeping the entirety of WE at bay as LWX just hunts down Mole, and Nuguri is just having the time of his life. It's time for some revenge, I think. Had enough of just being completely zoned out in lane. Unfortunately, gets absolutely dunked by Breathe, who is now in possession of the top laner of FPX, is just running rampant across the board and is able to eventually get the resets he craves. Now, like I mentioned, Nigri might be a bit weaker for Breathe in order for Breathe to assimilate, let's just say. But if he gets onto LWX and he gets LWX, FPX pretty much lose the fight. Especially since Tien used his ultimate only on one character. Breathe using the Spectrum more, realizing that Chris is a pretty chunky boy and they probably will not want to attempt to dive him. And just like that, a team fight win going in favor of World Elite brings the gold lead back to pretty much equal. World Elite only about 400 gold behind, as Tien, he does eat the Heartseeker and a slight mistime on the Super Mega Death Rocket, but Mole is there to pick up the slack. And here Doinby and Nuguri pretty much in a 2v4 situation as Crisp and LWX are just trying to 1v2 Mole. So in terms of efficiency, it's definitely the World Elite who were more efficient in that fight there. They had more people distracted with less manpower, and they had more people wailing on the lower number of people. So a very split fight there coming out from FPX. Not at all what you want to see. They just want a pretty much straight front to back team fight to go on, I'm pretty sure. And they want a prolonged team fight for sure. They don't want to they want to back off, allow their healing to come in from the safeguard, from the Piercing Darkness, I think it's called from Senna, not Piercing Light. Okay. So now let's just see. The gold lead, like I said previously, it's equalized. The kills pretty much equalized, slightly in favor of World Elite. Towers, in the meantime, are in favor of FPX. If we look across the board, item-wise, mythic items have finally rolled in as the second item is coming in as well. Red buff just thrown the entire distance further than any red buff has ever gone before. That'd be a lie, actually. We've all seen the Syndra, Tam, Kench little cheeses that go on, as Mole is actually pacing between two wards. Little does he know that bush that he didn't want to step into actually was completely pinked out. But he does have the distortion to get him to safety. Dragon is spawning in 35 seconds time. Nuguri has a nice flank onto Mole, who does have his distortion off cooldown yet again, which is pretty much what saves him. Let's see what is on the board. Only Doinby and Tien will have their summoner spells available, their combat summoner spells available on the side of FPX. Meanwhile, Nuguri is being jumped on as the chains come in. Nuguri chunked to about 1/3 of his HP as Beishang shoots out, the wind becomes lightning, does miss, which means he won't be able to close that gap. Breathe on the meantime, taking no damage while Missing is chunked to an inch of his life as the Piercing Darkness comes in, missing out completely onto every member of World Elite. Was looking for Missing over there, aptly named as the spell did miss. Now World Elite are looking to contest this. Nuguri is teleporting down towards the bot side as Mole jumps in. LWX is just warding them away. Breathe entering, as is Beishang. Dragon goes down in favor of FPX, but Beishang's taking a lot of poke from LWX as Doinby gets jumped onto by Mole, but Mole, that's not the champion you want to go. As the root hits, Beishang forced to use his ultimate defensively as in comes the Moonfall with the Zhonya's. Breathe is in the front line, but there are no resets to be had. He's trying his best to get Tien. Unfortunately, it is not enough as Mole comes in yet again to clean up the slack. Unfortunately for him, LWX did have the passive mark on him. Very easy to tell which one is the real LeBlanc in that kind of situation, as both the solo laners for World Elite, both the solo laners for World Elite fall. Unfortunately, that was the strong point of the team. So with that, World Elite not in a very comfortable situation, while the gold lead might only be 1,000 gold in favor of FPX. Let us not forget the LWX is completely safe so far. Breathe, unfortunately, taking a tumble, giving over a huge shutdown, not quite sure to who. As look at how much work LWX gets done here. He's just continuously poking. He's an AD carry and he's poking out your entire team. Nice little root coming in, and Tien with the Moonfall. Actually, that's an insane death sentence coming in there from Missing. Unfortunately, it really didn't accomplish much as the Moonfall did come through. The Zhonya's did come through as well. And Breathe trying his darndest to finish off Tien. And in spite of the fact that Mole was sitting in the bush, the same bush actually, that had the pink ward previously, in the exact same position, he still manages to finish off Tien, so slight misplay there. Hard to keep track of all the little details when you're in the thick of a team fight and there is a crazed, ruined king actually gunning for your head. Now Doingby trying to clear out that control ward does have Baron aggroed onto him by the Wind Becomes Lightning from Beishang. Now that was sole point now for FPX. A little bit of pressure now is being applied onto World Elite. They can of course opt to give up Dragon Soul, but when do we ever see that? This is the LPL, baby. We fight for every objective possible. We fight for everything. We fight. That should be the tagline for the LPL. We fight for every objective. We fight for every minor objective. We fight for everything. We fight. Oh, my nose. Okay, regardless. The nose can wait. Looks like FPX have a 3-2 split push going on as Tian is just hovering between the lanes. Nuguri is taking quite a bit of harass from Breathe, trying his best to sustain with his Q, but Breathe sipping a little bit on that potion. Not sure where the heck that potion came from. It's not refillable. As Doinby goes in for an attempt onto Elk. A little bit delayed he was, and now will have the Devourer to get him out of the fight. Mole in the side lane does have teleport available, but saw no need to use it as Beishang and World Elite. Very nice attempt made there by Doingby. Unfortunately, it was not enough. He does have teleport as he gets a quick recall off. Not quite sure if he had an item to buy. As in comes the teleport. Mole does have a flank as teleport is coming in from Viego as well. Beishang staying quite incredibly low. LWX is completely safe as he gets devoured up when Mole tries to enter the fight. That's just how it be, my guy. When there's an assassin in the game and a thumb catch on the opponent's team, what can you do, I suppose? But just trigger the Devourer, and that's a little opening you have. Unfortunately, I think that window has closed as Mole jumps in yet again. Not able to get anything done as LWX is the only one. He's just dawdling because he knows how safe he is with Crisp just hard camping him. And I do believe that Tam Kench change is going to be very welcome, especially by the opponents of FPX, because Senna Tam Kench is a combo they've been pretty much playing the entire year. Not even this split. In fact, most teams have moved away from it, opting for the Varus, the Ezreal, the Kai'Sa, the Tristana. But this is like the old faithful for FPX, the Senna Tam Kench lane, and they will be sad to see it go, I'm pretty sure. The fans, I'm not quite sure. Their opponents, most definitely not. I think they might be celebrating, in fact. They might just go wild and maybe even have a drop in their performance with how hard they will celebrate as soon as FPX is unable to play the Senna Tam Kench lane. Breathe and a little bit of an attempt made on Doingby's life, but Doingby is in the bruiser stage. Sorry, is opting for the Bruiser build. Now, Dragon is spawning in a minute's time. This is probably going to be where we see the explosive fighting unfold. LWX does have his summoner spells, as will Nuguri and Tian. Doingby will not have flash for the duration of that, which means Elk has a little bit more safety available to him. That being said, he does not have flash, he does not have heal. It's gonna be not so much about getting onto him though, even though Doingby and FPX does have 3 diving tools with Tian, Nuguri, and himself, along with the long-range assistance coming in from LWX's Piercing Dawn. LWX nearly face-checking in to Breathe. Really, there's a lot of pressure on to Breathe. He needs to get resets off, so the rest of his team really just needs to throw all their damage onto one person and then let the dominoes fall as they may. Doingby keeping away World Elite as they come in for a flank. Now FPX is cut off from their base. Mole jumping in, getting some damage down onto Tian as it looks like Trellias has been popped. Beishang jump in now onto Chris, but LWX is completely safe. Free hitting in the back of the fight, just shooting Beishang, who right now is taking no damage by the way, but now he will not have his ultimate, will not be able to tank up literally anything as Doingby and Mole just having a little scuffle themselves up above when the fight is not at its heat, as unbelievably LWX jumps forward. Oh my god, the Devourer is down. This is a little bit of an opening. Mole sees it, tries to jump forward with the distortion as the recall is being channeled now by Nuguri. He does have teleport available, I suppose, but his team needs to not be fighting in the meantime as in goes Doingby onto the dragon, but in the backline LWX nearly getting one shot by Mole. Luckily he had the heal as the piercing darkness comes. Elk falls. Beishang's in the pit trying his best to secure it. Unfortunately it will not be, as Dragon's gonna most definitely fall in favor of FPX. Breathe with his final attempt to secure the dragon as well as Tian's hit. Unfortunately it does not go their way, and the dragon along with the entire team fight go in favor of FPX. I was completely watching LWX in that fight. I did not see how Elk got absolutely destroyed. The piercing darkness coming in, piercing dawn, sorry, coming in and absolutely wrecking him, sniping him. I do believe it wasn't Nuguri. I think it was Doingby who got onto him. Maybe even Tian. So a nice little play coming in as Doingby going in between both the Nexus towers with his Sonic Wave as the hook comes out, landing on a minion missing, and Mo, what can they do? Elk is up now, 3 seconds and he is here. Beishang's here as well, but Breathe is not here, and he is really the main threat on the side of World Elite. As the Nexus looks to fall, Elk is just being shot relentlessly by LWX. Chris flashing on his AD carry, just wanting to be there in order to hold him. It isn't even necessary, it seems, as Tian now putting his shoes on, looking to walk off stage in preparation for Game 2 FPX. A very short game, absolutely in control of it, looking to usurp World Elite now, as World Elite is trying to cement themselves as 4th place. It looks like FPX not gonna settle at all for being bottom, not even bottom, for being not top 4, I suppose. That brings us to the end of game 1, and you know what? I'm just feeling it. Let's go straight into game 2, and I'll catch you guys in about 15 seconds. See ya!